So hello from Madrid to all of the team at Deco in Lisbon, and particularly thanks to Paolo and to Grassa for the fantastic video and the questions and the very warm welcome in Lisbon for my cross-border rail project there in the last few days. Now I have gone through Portugal and now back to Spain. I have some views of the Portuguese railway system, which then reply to some of the questions which have been raised in the video you so kindly made for me. So the point that Maria made about information, this is something that is very, very clearly a problem in Portuguese railways. The amount of information provided about anything is incredibly low. It's very, very hard to find out whether a train is running on time or not. I was in a train that was delayed, but we received no information that there was even a delay. And that wasn't a question of language. There was just no information provided. So Portuguese railways in a European comparison is very, very bad at that. Now, it should be comparatively easy to fix that sort of issue because those should be the soft things. They should be relatively easy to find out. It should be possible in an app to get information about cancellations or live running of trains, or indeed then even at stations, better information provided about even basic things like which carriage is at which end of a platform, for example. Those things should be very, very simple to solve. So I'm totally with you on that point. Those of you struggling with information problems in Portuguese railways, it's very, very poor at the moment, and then there's a real need to improve it. The question about infrastructure, it is very clear to me, having traveled across Portugal, that Portugal has been short of money invested in its railways in recent years. And at the end, you can't find a way and means of shortcutting those sorts of issues. Now, I had discussions in Lisbon and in Porto about new lines which are potentially being built. But just be a little bit careful there medium term. High-speed rail is not always a kind of a panacea, an idea and an ultimate solution. And there is also the new section of track between Elvas and Evora, which is being built to better connect Lisbon through to the Spanish border. So I see some opportunity for some improvements there by 2023. Now, there was a question in the video you sent me was also about timetables. Now, maybe you don't know how lucky you are actually, because the timetables on trains in Portugal, I think they're pretty good. You have trains most of the day and one train per hour on most lines. Now, if you compare that to your neighboring country, Spain, Spanish passengers would love that in most of the country to have a timetable that was that regular. Now, to me, what's really, really important is what we would call in German a Taktfahrplan. It means a train that runs at least once an hour on all the lines, all day, every day, between 6 in the morning and 10 o'clock at night. That means a person's plans can change and the train will still be able to cope. And generally, Portugal is not the worst on that. Of course, there's room for improvement, but generally it's not the worst. And then the issue of multimodal journeys. Now, the European Union is going to be active on this multimodal journeys issue with a new piece of law coming forward by the end of this year. So speak to your members of the European Parliament, write to them and demand that that's a strong piece of legislation. It poses very hard and concrete obligations on the transport companies. And that will be my way of potentially solving that one. The cost issue is a political problem, how much rail tickets cost in Portugal, because ultimately how much you pay for the tickets and how much taxpayers subsidise the railways will ultimately then result in money being put into new services and new lines. So that's a tricky one to solve. My prime concern is at least to say, let's make sure that railways work well on their own terms and not so much to be focusing on rail versus other transport means. So thank you all, and thank you very much indeed for the questions that you posed. I hope you give some answers there. Please feel free to follow up on Twitter and use the hashtag #crossborderrail, and I'll be very happy to answer some more of your questions there on Twitter as well. So thank you once more, and goodbye from Madrid.